Hi, my name is Ashley Tormey and this is the process behind my rainbow suspension bridge. After choosing the appropriate materials, the first step in my building process was to assemble the two main beams that would create the frame for my deck. This was achieved by gluing icy-pole sticks together in a pattern where the second stick was glued a third along the first, creating less weak points overall. The same method was used to create the four main pillars that would be used for the bridge towers. Once these had all dried overnight, the jagged ends were then sawed off and then filed flat for all of the beams that were created. Next step was to measure and mark where all of the holes will be drilled on the deck beams. The holes that are being drilled are spots where the deck will be suspended with string. The front and back are then filed to remove any splinters. The tops of these beams are then filed flat where icy-pole sticks will be glued. These icy-pole sticks are then glued to create the frame for the bridge deck. The glue being used is industrial strength contact bond. Books were used to flatten down the bridge deck. Next, skewers were cut to size for the trusses. The deck was then marked for where these skewers would be placed. Then they were hot glued to the bridge deck to create Warren trusses. Then later on, these were made into Warren trusses with verticals. On the four beams that would be used for the bridge towers, small slots were cut out at the top so that the main suspension cables had a stable place to sit, as seen here. Two icy-pole sticks were then hot glued to the base of these towers to help them stand on their own. The bridge deck was then attached to the towers using whipper-snipper cord and hot glue. Skewers are glued horizontally to connect to the beams of the tower. Then icy-pole sticks are glued vertically so that the Warren truss can be easily glued on. These trusses are then added with skewer sticks that have been cut shorter. This process is then completed for the other tower too. Next, whipper-snipper cord is measured and hot glued into place. Some slack is required in the middle to achieve the desired shape. Zip ties are then added along the cord and there is one for every hole drilled in the deck. These are then hot glued into place as they can still slide up and down the cord. The excess is then trimmed. Next, string is tied to these zip ties on the cord and then threaded through their appropriate hole. The end of the string is burned to make this threading easier. Once all the strings are attached at the top, they are then tightened and tied at the bottom as well. The excess is then trimmed. The bridge is now done and ready to be attached to some anchorages, but before that it needs to be weighed and measured. As this was the only scales we had available, it had to be measured like this, and it came out to weigh 456 grams. The bridge had a clear span of 820 millimeters, but if you are including the wooden feet, then the bridge had a clear span of 720 millimeters. The bridge also had a width of 115 millimeters and a height of 590 millimeters. Now here comes the fun part. I start by adding 4 1.25 kilogram weights. Followed by 3 1.5 kilogram weights. Next, it's another 1.5 kilograms on either side of the bridge. Then I quickly check the tension of the strings. Then a 1 kilogram weight is added to the middle, followed by 2 500 gram weights that cause the anchorages to move forward and snap the deck. If my chairs had been heavier, my bridge could have held more weight, but for the moment my bridge of 456 grams held 11.5 kilograms successfully, so my bridge could hold roughly 25 times its weight. The deflection of the bridge when 11.5 kilograms was held was around 50 millimeters.